In this video, we'll have a quick introduction to the graphs of the sine and cosine functions. We've already talked about how sine graphs and cosine graphs, or waves actually, are visual representations of things in nature that oscillate, or repetitive things. These graphs are actually functions that are graphs for a given range of angles. The graphs rise to peaks at a maximum, and then they plunge to minimum points where they change directions and then rise again, thus the oscillation. They go on forever. They're repetitive. They look like a wave, and you can see that here in this animation that's going on in front of you. And they're very much just like a wave of the ocean. They have those peaks and those valleys. As you can see from the animation that's going on, these sine and cosine waves are directly tied to our unit circle that we've been talking about. And this animation kind of shows you how those waves happen as the point kind of travels around the unit circle. We can see that every time we make a revolution around the circle, the cycle repeats itself. We go up and we go down, and we go up and we go down, and it never varies from that cycle. And every time we make a revolution, we only go up to a certain point, and then we start going right back down, and then we start all over again, and we go up and we go down. And you can see as the point goes up and down and around on the circle, we just follow that same pattern. Well, these are those sine and cosine waves. So let's take a look at how that looks with another animation showing how that follows with the triangle. All right, so here we have a different demonstration of the same idea. If I take a look at this curve, it's a sine curve, and on the left we have a right triangle drawn. But if you can just imagine that there is a unit circle where this orange dot is going to be moving around, because that's basically what we have. As it moves around, you can see that the circle, or the dot, moves on my curve and follows as I'm moving around. And notice as my ratios change up there in the upper right hand corner, I'm calculating the sine ratio, or my sine function there, of whatever my ratios are for that right triangle. Notice that if I have the sine of 60 or 58 to 57, 58, I won't stay. Okay, of 58 degrees, I am calculating the ratio of 8.9 over 10.5, and it's given me 0.85. Notice that if I go to right here, I am at 90 degrees, if I can get it to stop right where I want it to go. I'm right here at this peak on the curve. Well, that represents 90 degrees on the unit circle, on that peak on the curve. If I come down to right here at 0, notice that I am at 0, 0 on my graph. I'm at 0, 0 on the origin. Well, I'm going to move this up just a little bit so that you can see right here along my x-axis. Notice that the markings along that axis are the degrees that I would see around my circle. So as I move around, my dot follows those degrees on my unit circle. So right up here, that I talked about just a minute ago, notice I'm at 90 degrees. So when I come over here on the left, I am at 180 degrees. When I get down around here, I'm at 270 degrees. And when I get all the way back around, I'm at 360 degrees. Now, when I start to wrap around again, what's going to happen is my curve is just going to keep on going, because I'm getting larger than 360 degrees, because my sine curve just goes on into infinity, and it'll just keep going for as long as we continue to wrap. And notice how that curve just keeps on going. And the same thing would happen for cosine. So let's take a look at some of the other characteristics of sine and cosine curves. So there are just a few characteristics that we want to talk about in general for our sine and cosine graphs. And that's what we're going to do in this video. And next videos, we're going to break them down and we're going to learn how to graph variations of sine and variations of cosine, and we're going to dig a little deeper into the specifics of each type of graph. But for now, we're going to get some of the basics out of the way so that you're familiar with what we're working on as we move forward. So let's talk about the parent function of the sine graph and the parent function of the cosine graph. So you've heard of parent functions before, I'm sure. And what parent functions are, those are what we've heard of with any type of graph, and they are the unaltered form of your equation. All right, so if you think of like y equals x, that is the parent linear function, right? So if I were to change that to y equals 3x plus 2, that's still a linear function, but it's not the parent function. It's been altered in some way, right? Because we've changed the slope and the y-intercept. So the idea of parent functions applies to all types of functions, and you can have that in trigonometry as well. So our main parent function for sine and cosine is y equals sine x and y equals cosine x. But let's go ahead and get used to writing it with variables in there that we're going to use for what are known as our amplitude and our period. So we're going to write using A and B, just so we can get used to seeing that. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and get used to writing this as y equals A sine bx and y equals A cosine bx. And then if we get used to writing it that way, then we'll go ahead and get used to having that A and that B there to work with, okay? So these are our basic parent functions of sine and cosine that you see here in front of us, and I want to just point out the differences here between them as well as the similarities. So on the left, we have our sine function. It's very small there. It's kind of hard to see. So let me just see if I can't zoom in here a little bit. So this one is the sine. All right, this is our sine function. And if you notice, this one starts at 0, 0 as we're going around that circle, and it heads up right here. All right, so we start at 0, 0. But notice that the cosine function, instead of starting at 0, 0, it starts at 1 and heads down. So that's a big difference between the two of them. The cosine function is equal to the sine function, but it's shifted to the left by pi over 2 radians or by 90 degrees. So they're basically the same, but the cosine function is just shifted by 90 degrees. But we need to take a look at that here, that with the sine function, we start at 0, 0, and then we go up. But with the cosine function, we start up at 1, and then we go down. All right. The sine function repeats every 2 pi radians. So every 360 degrees, every time we hit 2 pi right here, then we start repeating. The same thing happens with cosine. We repeat every time we hit 2 pi. So every time we get to here, we start repeating. We start where we start going down again. And here is where we start going back up again. Okay, so this is what we see with the general parent functions of our sine and our cosine functions. So we repeat every 2 pi radians here, which is the same thing as 360 degrees. Every time we go around the circle, remember we saw that every time it was going around here, we saw that up and down movement. Same thing here, every 2 pi radians. We repeat. So some new terms that we're going to learn as we work with graphing trig functions are period, amplitude, and midline. Some people call it midline, some people just call it the horizontal line. It's just a term that you're going to hear as we work with these graphs. So I'll call it midline. You may hear it something else, but just so that you know what we're working with. Let's start with period. The period is the distance of a function repetition. In other words, how long does it take for a function to complete a cycle? How long does it take for the function to get from where it starts to where it ends and then starts to repeat again? All right, for the general sine parent function, it repeats every 2 pi radians. So what does that look like on the graph? All right, so on the graph of a sine function, that means if we're starting right here, a period would look like going all the way up, coming all the way down, and then getting right to here. That is a period. On the cosine function, we start up here, we come down, and we get back up to here. That is a period. So a period is the distance of a function's repetition. The distance of repetition. Or you might see it as the length of a complete cycle. So when we want to calculate the period of a function, we want to use the formula 2 pi over b. And this is why I wanted to go ahead and get used to using the form of our equation that had b in it, so that we would just get used to knowing where it was sitting in our equation. Okay, so when I have y equals a sine bx, I'm going to use the value of b right here when I want to calculate my period. So b tells us how many cycles are seen in 0 to 2 pi. If b is greater than 1, there'll be a horizontal shrinking. If b is between 0 and 1, there'll be a horizontal stretching. We'll look more closely at that when we get into the additional demos as we start graphing these, as we start graphing shifts of these functions. But for now, let's just define the term period and know where to get b out of our function. The amplitude of a function is how far we go off of that midline. So the amplitude is essentially the height of the peak and the valleys. All right, so it's the distance from the midline to a peak or a valley in the graph. Okay, so our amplitude is going to be how high we are here and how low we are here. Let me get this on the graph. So amplitude is going to be the distance from midline to peak or valley. Okay, and increasing or decreasing our amplitude will vertically stretch or shrink the graph. All right, so to find amplitude is going to be our value of a in our form of the equation. It's going to be our absolute value of a. So absolute value of a is going to be amplitude. So remember, our form of our graph here is, if it's cosine, I should have written that one a minute ago, is a equals cosine bx. All right, and our midline is just the line that is horizontally, or that is horizontal and exactly between peak and valley. So for the parent functions, it's going to be y equals 0. So in this case, it's going to be right here and right here. Now, if there's a shift, that value is going to move. Okay, that line is going to move. All right, so now we know how to find our period, we know how to find our amplitude, and we know what the midline is for our parent functions. Let's take a look at each one of these items more closely on the sine, the parent graph of sine, just to make sure we understand where each item is and how it applies to the parent function of sine. So if I'm looking at the parent function of sine, I'm looking at y equals a sine bx. All right. In the parent function of sine, with no alterations at all, with no shifts, no shrinking, no stretching, nothing, just y equals sine x, all right? Everything is just a coefficient of 1. I have a shift off the midline here. I go up to a max of 1, and I go to a minimum here. Come down no further than -1, all right? So that means my amplitude in this case, and this is for any graph of the parent function of y equals sine x, my amplitude for y equals sine x is always going to be equal to 1, all right? So that's going to be a. A is going to be equal to 1. Let me write that a little bit neater. Just to, all right. My period for the general sine function, the parent function here, is always 2 pi. If I were to plug it into the formula of 2 pi over b, b in this case is 1 because there's a 1 sitting right here. So 2 pi over 1 is equal to 2 pi, all right? And I repeat right here from 0 to 2 pi. There's no stretching, no shrinking. I start and end at 2 pi, all right? So I go up, I come back down, and start over again between 0 and 2 pi. Just one cycle between 0 and 2 pi. My midline is right here on 0. My domain for the parent function, my domain for any sine function, is going to be from -infinity to infinity. It goes on forever in both directions. And my range is from -1 to 1. For my cosine function, I have the same values. My amplitude, I have a max value of 1, a minimum value of 1. So my value for a, the absolute value of a, is an absolute value of 1. A equals 1. The period, I start and end, I complete one full cycle between 0 and 2 pi. Whoops, I drew my line in the wrong spot. My fault. Right here is where I meant to go. Period is 2 pi. My domain, again, is -infinity to infinity. And my range is -1 to 1. So in our next demonstration, what we're going to do is take a closer look at actually graphing the sine function with and without transformations. And then after that, we'll take a look at graphing cosine functions.